Hey everybody, how is it going? And okay, trying to get some more light in here. Let's see, maybe that's too much. Let's go tone it down a little bit. Okay, now I need some coming from this side. Turn it down a little bit. Okay, let's see. Okay, that's a little better. We have a little light there. And okay, look, I wanted to come on. You see the Slim Nation hat, although this is Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So I represent both, but on Portsmouth Coffee Talk, just coming up here live. And I wanted to talk to you about something that been going through the last few years and the one who's driving these days, and if you have had the same experiences out here driving these days, let me know because it's hell on wheels trying to drive out here now. Now, I got to the point where I'm thinking about even turning in my license and taking Uber or Lyft or riding a bicycle or maybe even walking everywhere I want to go now. But that's impossible to walk everywhere because you have so many places to go that are far away. But anyway, I just want to know who's driving these days. It's crazy out here, and I'll go back to the way it was when I was in high school. I think back in those days in the 70s, that to drive, you had to take the driver's education, which was offered in high school. And I'm trying to remember, was it a requirement? I remember doing one of the years, we had to take gym for 2 years. But sometime before you got out of school, you took driver's ed. And a lot of times it happened during your gym period. You could even take it for summer school if you wanted to. And back then, uh, you you had the book part, which you had to learn that in order to pass the test to get your license. And then you had the driving part to get the experience. Now, a lot of people, when they took driver's ed in high school, it was their first time driving, getting in a car. Some families didn't have cars, or they didn't have access to a car, or their parents didn't let them near the car. But anyway, and then other parents sort of took their took their children to a empty parking lot on a Sunday afternoon. Back then, no stores were open on Sundays, so you could go to a parking lot of a big store or a shopping center on a Sunday afternoon and teach them how to drive. And it could be at all ages. But in order to get your learner's permit back then, you had to be 15 and 8 months. Don't know how it is now, but 15 and 8 months, you could get your learner's permit where you only had to take a test and you be given your learner's permit, which allowed you to drive as long as you had a licensed driver uh, in the car with you during that time. So that was a good learning process to learn the rules and regulations from your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister, cousins, guy down the street, uncles, aunts, whoever wanted to uh, take their life in their hands and get in the car with a 15-year-old, 18 months uh, kid. I guess I call him a kid, or driving. And a lot of people braved it out and helped that kid learn the simple rules. And so you take that along with the learner's permit. And that's right. I think you have to have your learner's permit in order to take the driver's education course that, like I said, was offered in school, and it was free. It was part of the curriculum there that you could take. So you had to have your learner's permit so you could learn how to drive in the school parking lot. They had it set up like a regular street, stop signs and things like that. And the teacher, which would be more than likely would be the gym teachers. They had that freedom to be able to do that if they didn't teach a regular class, but other than gym or health. And so you would learn to drive. You learn all the rules, and they would even take you after they felt comfortable with you, take you out on the street and put you in real situations to learn the stop signs and who went first, who had the right of way, and all that kind of stuff, which was very important. And by the time you went to get your license, you had to take the written test, and then a state trooper that was assigned to that particular DMV would take you out on the road and test your knowledge on the road. And how you did was the deciding factor if you got your license that particular day or not. And sometimes if you were too nervous and driving a little erratic, you would have to come back another day to complete that part, especially if you've already passed the written part. But anyway, then you got your license and you proved that you knew all the rules of the road and you were pretty comfortable in driving. So you get your license, and it was still lessons to be learned, just participating in driving. You learn, I remember they used to always say, watch out for the other guy. And that was a big uh, lesson to learn, to always be aware of the other guy. So it was a pretty good lesson because it always made you aware what the other people were doing. Sometimes, excuse me, sometimes you might be too aware of the other people and not really paying attention to what you were doing. But in most cases, that was a really safe way to drive, to make sure you watch out for the other person. And it would help you avoid accidents, because sometimes other people make mistakes. I remember anytime I was riding my mother, everybody else other than me that was driving out there were fools. She would always say, watch out for that fool, watch out for that fool. But I was the perfect driver, but everybody else was the fools, So I think that was just a mother-son thing. But anyway, so we learned how to obey the speed limits. Or you would get a ticket, and especially if you were driving, you were still on your parents' insurance. You got a ticket, your parents' insurance went up, so you really didn't want to uh, just get a ticket, for speeding or reckless driving or something like that, because you probably wouldn't be able to drive the family car anymore, or would be punished for weeks on without having the privilege of driving, because you shot the insurance up because you were reckless, you were speeding, and there was no need to speed. But come to today, I don't understand, just like coming to a stoplight. It used to be, of course, we know red. If it's red, you're going to stop. But yellow meant to prepare to stop. Caution. The light is getting ready to turn red. Yellow doesn't mean speed up so you can get through the light. And that's kind of a dangerous thing because sometimes the light might have been yellow for a while and you speeding up. And by the time you got to the actual light, it actually turned red. And then you were speeding through it. And now they have cameras that can catch you. But the yellow meant to prepare to stop. And that's what way most people, and I don't think anybody looks at the yellow light now as a preparation for stopping. They look for, well, I better speed up so I can get through this light before it turns red. And that can be pretty dangerous if the other cars take off. The other cars that get the green light take off real quick because that happens sometime and you see a collision there. But nobody, and even if if it turns red, they'll take the chance and speed up and go through the light because everybody seems to be in a hurry. People tailgate you. If you're going the speed limit, you're going the posted speed limit, and maybe you might even be going 5 miles over, which I think they give you that. That's still not fast enough for that person behind you. They're right on your bumper. They come around you, look at you with a mad face like, you're keeping them from an important appointment just because you were going the speed limit. I don't understand it. And I see so many near accidents because people are in such a hurry to go nowhere. I saw somebody riding my bumper one time, and you could look in the rearview mirror and see the frustration. They say, "What is wrong with you?" This is that thing that gets me. You look back there and you're going the speed limit. Somebody, you're not going fast enough, and you look in the rearview mirror and you get this. Like, what are you doing? I said, I'm going the speed limit. I'm driving safely. And that person was behind me riding a bumper. And then I stopped at a stop light. And that wasn't enough for them. They went around me, went through the stoplight, and made a left turn. And they were going to Burger King. And it's not because they were rushing there because they were late for work. They went to the driving window. So they were in a hurry to run a red light, tailgate me, then run the red light to get to Burger King. I guess they must have been really hungry, really hungry. But on a serious note, it's a lot of people uh, not stopping at stop signs because I think the mentality is now if nobody's coming the other way, why stop at the stop sign? I think to me, it's a part of muscle memory. You know, whether a car is coming the other way, the stop sign says stop. Then you have the sign that says yield, which means you can slow down if nothing coming, keep on going. But the stop sign says stop. And the more you get in your mind to stop at the stop signs, it's part of your automatic reflexes to do that each time. Now, and especially in neighborhoods, because it concerns me when it happens in neighborhoods and people don't stop at stop signs because they feel like it's in the neighborhood, so why stop? But that's a state sign that's put in your neighborhood, and the law is covered by it's a state law to stop, and it's just a matter of habit. And going through stop signs and going over 25 in a residential neighborhood, it just seems crazy to me. Children could run out, and you know how easily children run out into the street, or your favorite pet. And for somebody to be going 35 and 45 in a residential neighborhood, just going home and don't have to go to the bathroom, just going home seems crazy to me. Why are people so reckless now driving? Why are people so impatient that they have to get wherever they're going fast? Why nobody goes the speed limit? You go on the interstate and you go at 65 and you might go 70, just give it that. And people pass by you like you're standing still. What's with the speed? Who's driving these days? Who's driving these days? And where are they getting their training? I think some of it might have to do with you don't have the mandatory lessons in school anymore that everybody has to take. And in order to get your driver's license now, you have to go to a driving school and finish that, where you pay. And I guess that person is going to make sure you pass. But you pay that person. And I don't know, I'm not going to put those driving schools down, but it just seems like the level of driving skills that people come out and with their license these days seems to be lacking the way it was some time ago. There was always speeders. There was always people that went too fast, and speed was a thrill to them. But it just seemed like everybody, when you look over and somebody passes you like you going still, and they can hardly see over the dashboard because it's somebody like 90 years old, you have to wonder. You have to wonder what am I doing wrong by going the actual speed limit? Now, knock on wood. Knock on wood. I've never had an accident, and I hope I never will. I hope I didn't jinx myself. But it's because some people get on me because I take my time. They say I go too slow because everybody drives fast. But I just Watch out for the other guy, and I just don't take chances out there because you can lose your life. You could lose your life taking chances. I think I can make this light. And we've seen the accidents, horrific accidents where people take a curve, and they'll actually give you warnings on some curves to safely navigate this curve. Maybe you should go about 20 miles an hour, but other people might hit it at 50. Accident, single car accident that could have been avoided if they only followed the recommended speed. Because you don't know until you get into that curve how much of that curve is. And the sign is there for a reason. But anyway, I've been talking and talking, but I just want to know if any of y'all had, let me see what Terrence says. I think during COVID, driver's license were being given without testing. Yeah, it seems that way. Too many folks on their cell phones, yeah, and while driving. And of course, you see that a lot, people on the cell phones. And there's a law against being on your cell phone and holding it to your ear and driving. And you know that's, and some people, I ride up beside them and you see them texting while they're driving. And, you know, there's so many ways you can do hands off communications if you have to talk on the phone. If it's a long conversation, pull over to the side and hold that conversation. It's kind of hard to concentrate on talking and all the things you need to be aware of when you're driving, especially in really busy traffic. So I know this probably won't change anything, but just you can say just slow down, take your time, and think about watch out for the other guy. And while you're watching out for the other guy, make sure that you're taking all the safety precautions. No one has to die unnecessarily because uh, you taking a chance or you not paying attention to what you're doing. Driving a vehicle uh, is a serious thing, and it's not something we should take for granted. But it just seems like now the climate is now, and I don't think it's going to change. It just seems that way. Um, I think one thing that might help it is a step up in law enforcement, and we're starting to see that as more localities get the funding they need to have a proper traffic division that can concentrate on slowing these drivers down. If the drivers know that they can be penalized and for getting speeding tickets and getting too many and possibly losing your license or being suspended, I think people will be a little bit more careful. And I think it should start with parents who are driving that are really concerned about when they're teaching their young kids. Now, if you're one of those people that's always in a hurry and speeding, that's the kind of child you're going to, a driver in your household that you're going to produce because that's what they're used to seeing you do. And that's what's going to happen. So it's going to have to start with the drivers now that are raising children and thinking about what kind of position are you putting your children in as far as getting behind that wheel? How safe would it be for them? So let's think about this. Think about it when you're driving. Uh, that nothing's that important that you have to get to that you risk your life driving recklessly. Now, there's a thing about how people drive recklessly, and some people you see that they just I don't understand it. They just don't care. They just driving. They don't have the patience. They go in and out of traffic. They take chances, and sometimes they cause accidents. And they're way down the road, and they run somebody off the road. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. It's just enough of us maybe speaking up, and because some people, like I said, they were raised in a household Well, that's the way they saw their parents drive, or everybody around them drove that way. So they're going to pick up that same habit. So I guess the more we talk about it, the more we make people aware of how reckless people are out there driving today. And tailgating is very dangerous. I have to jump to that because that car that you're riding their bumper, you never know what's in front of them where they might have to stop quickly to keep from hitting a pedestrian, a person. Couldn't get that word out. And you're not going to be able to stop. You're not going to have that time and distance to be able to stop. So that's an accident in itself. And then you might push that person into the person the lead car was trying to keep from hitting. So it could, I, I just don't know. And Terrence made another statement here. Also hate when people stop on and off ramps instead of merging in. Yeah, very dangerous. Yeah, you're right. Yep, you're right. Yeah, you have to merge in, and it's a certain thing is common courtesy. You know, when traffic is backed up and you're going this way and it's moving and another group of cars are coming in this way to blend in, and the easiest way to do it is each car let one car go in. Excuse me again. Each car let one car go in, and the flow will go smoothly. Well, those people coming in, merging in, want to get to where they want to get just as much as you do. And you see people inching up just so they won't let that person in. How selfish can you be? You let one person in and hope the car behind you lets another person in. If the traffic is moving and moving slow, it's not going to affect the flow that much. And everybody gets to where they want to go. We have to be compassionate and think about, you're not the only one on the street. You're not the only one trying to go somewhere. And you want to make sure you get there. So just think a little bit more before you get behind that wheel and think you're the only car out there driving. And everywhere you go, you have to get there before anybody else, or you have to get there fast. If you're running late, that's probably your fault. But if you need to get somewhere and you might run into traffic, just leave a little earlier. Give yourself time. Don't put that pressure on yourself where you're running late and then you blame everybody else out there in front of you that because you're late and they're holding you up and they're just going the regular traffic speed. They are abiding by the law, but it's holding you up. So anyway, uh, since Terrence is on there, if you see over my shoulder here, the book James. Terrence has the bookstore, the printed word bookstore in Churchland, and every few months, a group of men get together. We pick a book and we get together and discuss it. You know, reading is fundamental, and reading is very important. And it's not just for kids; it's for all ages. And the more you read, especially as you get older, you have to do things to make sure you still continue to stimulate your mind. And that's one thing. It helps us stimulate our minds, and it helps us create a certain brotherhood where we sit around, and it's not always talking about sports, although that's involved. But we sit around and pick a book and talk about the book. And a lot of times, different people have different takes on the book, even though there's a common theme. But it's always interesting to see how you perceive the book or what you got out of it and things like that. So right now we're reading James, and if anybody wants to join in with us in the future, make sure you get in touch with Terrence Austin, and I'll have to come back and give you his address, and maybe he can put his address up here for the Printed Word bookstore. It's in Churchland, and make sure you visit and support him and visit. He has a great selection of books. And if he doesn't have what you're looking for, just let him know and he can order it for you. So support this brother, served our country. And he and his wife had this bookstore, and many of the Saturdays they bring in young kids and bring in people to have a discussion with them, a learning discussion. They might be authors, or they might have be doing some things in the community that is a great interest to children. And yeah, so if you're watching this, you see Terrence put Printed Word Bookstore, 5901 Churchland Boulevard in the city of Portsmouth. So make sure you visit him, and make sure you consider men. If you want to be a part of our little reading circle, we're always willing to grow, and help us pick different books that you might want us to read. It might be something that we never even thought about reading that will expand our minds. And like I said, it's interesting to see how different people perceive the same book. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes it's a little different. So yeah, join us. But anyway, thank you, Terrence, for always being a part of what we do here on Portsmouth Coffee Talk. So like I said, I come on here every once in a while by myself and do it. And also with the Slim Nation. So you see the Slim Nation hat, but we're on the Coffee Talk YouTube channel live here. So I talked a little longer than I expected to, but I had to get that off me. It's been going on for a while. It seems like the last 5 years or so, it's just getting crazier and crazier out here on the streets, where sometimes I don't even like to drive that much, especially on the interstate. The way people, I would hate to be hospitalized or worse behind just trying to go to the grocery store to pick up some necessities because I was in the car because somebody else was driving reckless. So think about it. Think about it, and think about the other guy, and watch out for the other guy. And as long as we're watching out for the other guy, we're watching out for each other. All right, take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time we do a live here. And of course, remember to watch Portsmouth Coffee Talk every Monday morning at 7 a.m. here on our YouTube channel and Facebook. We have our pages on Facebook, and we share at other places as well. But also remember, if you want to be a guest, if you have something to share, we are all about sharing information that might help someone and just having good, stimulating conversations. Get in touch with us and let us know what subject you might want to talk about, or you have a subject suggestion. Let us know, and we'll try to accommodate it. So take care, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Terrence, take care. We'll see you, buddy. All right, everybody.